Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now today's video is going to be a topic that was suggested by I believe a couple of you guys on my previous video, the rise and fall of Netscape. And if you haven't seen that video and if you have no idea what Netscape is that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, I'd recommend checking out the retrospective as it really gives you the full story at how this browser was at one point the most popular web browser out there, and due to the rise of Microsoft's Internet Explorer, experienced a rapid decline in the late 90s to early 2000s, to the point where nowadays it does not exist as a browser anymore. It's no longer being developed, although the brand name is still around, as I discussed in that video. But today, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be trying to run a few versions of Netscape Navigator and Communicator on Windows 10. So we are running the latest version of Windows 10. This is version 2004, the latest and greatest release of Windows 10. And what we have are 5 releases of Netscape Navigator and Communicator. So it's version 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. And then we also have, just for a little bit of fun, I have the very first release of the Mosaic browser as well. And we're going to be trying that later on in this video. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with Netscape 7, which is the latest release that I have here. And we're going to kind of work our way down and see how far back we can get, if we can actually get Mosaic and Netscape 1.0 to run on Windows 10. So first I want to show you guys where I got all of these from. So the majority of these came actually from mcom.com, which is again the old website for Mosaic Communications, which is still hosted today. Now the person who, I believe he's hosting it himself now, has a page over at home.mcom.com/archives. And what this is an archive of every single release of Netscape Navigator up from version 0.4 all the way up to version 4.08, or Netscape Navigator / Communicator, I should say. And then at the very bottom here, we have the release of NCSA Mosaic. We've got 5 versions of that here. And so this is the original version of Mosaic. So yeah, pretty awesome. So this is where you guys can go and download these browsers from if you want to try them out yourselves. Now, version 7.0 here, this Netscape 7, I got from the Wayback, or not from the Wayback Machine, but from the Internet Archive. Now, you may be wondering why we skipped from version 4 to version 7. Well, version 5.0 doesn't exist. They skipped from 4.0 to, or I believe it exists like in a development sense, like it was being worked on, but it was later scrapped. And they just went to version 6. So I wasn't able to find a working copy of Netscape 6. There was a website that a few people were linking me to go take a look at in the last video. And that is this website right here over at sillydog.org/narchive. This is the Netscape Browser Archive. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is great. It looks to have every release of Netscape Navigator and Communicator on it. You see we've got Netscape 9, 8, 7, and 6, Communicator 4, Retro Netscape, and the version guide right here. So this website is still hosted, but what is kind of unfortunate is the fact that the files themselves, a lot of these links, I mean all of them that I tried at least, are broken. Now most of these, like the regular links, link to the now non-existent Netscape FTP server, as you can see from the link down there. So this links to a file that is no longer stored. I don't even think there's an FTP server hosted at this location anymore. Now there are these mirrors here which are hosted on this site, this site's FTP server, but these links are broken as well. I can click on this link here and it will eventually time out, as you can see. So that is unfortunate. So the versions that we have, if I go back to the Mozilla archive, I downloaded again version 1.0, which is right here. We just kind of skipped to the first, like the final release of Netscape, which is version 1.0. I downloaded the Win16 version of that. I also downloaded version 2.02, which is the latest release of 2.02 that we have here. I downloaded the Gold version, which is a Win32 application. I downloaded version 3.04. If we scroll down here a little bit, 3.04 Gold. I downloaded the 32-bit Pro version. And I also downloaded version 4.04, which is this one right here, which is the latest Windows version that's hosted on this website. There are versions 4.07 and 4.08, but they only have Linux versions of the files right here. So I downloaded this one right here, the Win32 version. So yeah, all of these are 32-bit applications with the exception of version 1.0 and NCSA Mosaic, which is a 16-bit program as well. So with that aside, let's go ahead and minimize our older version of Microsoft Edge here and start off with Netscape 7. So we're going to run this here, and we're just going to run it. Now, I'm certain this is going to work totally fine because it's a 32-bit program. Now, this is a 64-bit copy of Windows, so that's why I've got OTVDM or WineVDM over here, which will allow us to install the 16-bit versions. So, and I've done kind of a whole video on this if you want to learn about how you can run 16-bit programs on a 64-bit release of Windows. It'll be up in the cards. So Netscape 7.2, it wasn't called Navigator at this point. They were just using the name Netscape. The Netscape Navigator branding would return in version 9, which was kind of the last hurrah, the final release of Netscape before, actually, yeah, we'll make netscape.com the homepage. Yeah, kind of the last version before Netscape was, as a web browser, discontinued. Again, like I said, the brand is, believe it or not, still used today, and I touched on that in the retrospective video. So yeah, it looks like 7.2 has installed, and it's added a AOL. Oh, that's actually pretty funny. So it added a free AOL and unlimited internet icon to the desktop. So just for reference, Netscape 7, this was released in 2002. So that's why that you've got the AOL icon over here, because yeah, this was around the time when people were still using AOL more than they do today. Because yeah, believe it or not, there's still people who use AOL today, like AOL dial-up, just not as many as there were back in the early 2000s. So we launched, now you probably noticed something on that splash screen. It said powered by Netscape Gecko. Now Gecko, if you're a Firefox user, as I am, might sound familiar to you because Gecko is the engine that powers Firefox. And that is because this version of Netscape is based on the Mozilla application suite, which later evolved into what we now know as SeaMonkey, as that separate project that you can still download today. So the newer versions of Netscape from version 6 to version 9 were all based on Mozilla projects. So you had version 6 to version 8 that were based on the Mozilla application suite, and version 9 is based on just Mozilla Firefox, which is pretty cool. So it's come up with this unknown authority right here. It's unable to verify the identity of login.yahoo.com. We'll just say okay. And so this is because when you now try to go to netscape.com, it will redirect you to Yahoo. So it's going to ask us if we want to set Netscape 7.2 as the default browser. We're going to say yes, of course we do. And for those of you who use the Mozilla application suite, this probably looks very familiar to what you've used, and that is because, again, this is based off of that suite of programs. So we can still, like, we've got the same toolbar down here at the very bottom. I can go to Window, I can, open up Navigator, Mail and News Groups, my Instant Messenger, Composer, and Address Book. You see we've got like an AIM icon here because, again, AOL owned Netscape at this point, so we actually have an integrated version of AOL Instant Messenger that is right here. So they've kind of replaced Chatzilla in the Mozilla application suite. They've replaced that with AOL Instant Messenger here, which is pretty awesome. We've got the Composer here. This is the HTML editor essentially, but you don't need to know HTML. I mean, you can create web pages with this without even knowing a thing about HTML, because you can just type out, hello world, exclamation point. I can make this text bold, underline, and italicize, and then I can go to source here, and it is writing the source code for me. You can see here's this span right here where it says hello world. It's got style. It's making it bold, underline, and italic. So yeah, it just basically makes a web page for you. So yeah, version 7.0 works. I mean, can't really complain. I'm gonna try to go to my YouTube channel here, and we'll see if so it's trying to load. We're just going to accept these certificates permanently. And you've requested an encrypted page. The website has identified itself correctly and information you see, yes. And so here's my YouTube channel, or at least, well, it's technically loaded the page, just none of the content is actually showing up correctly. Not really a surprise. This is a web browser from 2002. You can't really expect it to, display modern day websites perfectly. But it does work, and yeah, we've got my nice little buddy list here on the side since we've got AOL Instant Messenger integrated. So if I had an AIM account, which it's not available at this time because the server doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, that is version 7.0, pretty awesome. We're going to close out of that and move on to Netscape 4. So Netscape 4, the version that I downloaded from the mcom.com site, this is a self-extracting executable. So if I run this here, Windows Smart Screen is going to complain. We're going to run this anyway. And oh, it's actually going to let us know that the app can't run on your PC. So we'll just try to launch it using WineVDM. I mean, this is probably going to say, because this is a 32-bit application, so it's probably, yes, run anyway. Oh, okay, maybe it's not a Win32 application. I mean, it's set on the website. Like if we go back to the website here, this is version 4.04. I'm pretty sure I downloaded the right one. Yeah, I downloaded the Win32 version. So yeah, these apparently are 16-bit applications, at least version 4.04 here is. So we're just waiting for it to load up here. Oh, it looks like the setup. Oh, okay, so here it is right here. So this is the splash screen, but we've got the Install Shield Wizard setup. And yeah, it is taking a while to load up. It's at 38% right now. It looks like it's frozen. But we'll just let it hopefully recover here. Yeah, I'm thinking this is frozen up here. It is not moving past here. I'm going to check Task Manager and see if it is still responding. It is not responding. Yeah, so that's unfortunate. So we'll just kill the process. And I guess we'll try it again. So it extracted all those files somewhere on the system. Some of these versions from the website are the versions that I used in the retrospective to capture footage of me using the browser to have as B-roll in the video. I believe that was version, 2 and 3. There were some of these that had, like, let's just try version 3 here. Let's just try to run this. So this is a 32-bit program because it's coming up with the, like, it's not saying this app can't run on your PC. Let's just try 3.0. We'll come back to version 4. So let's just say yes. Oh no, this is a 16-bit version. Can I start a run due to the incompatibility with 16-bit or 64-bit versions of Windows? Please contact the software vendor to ask if a 64-bit Windows compatible version is available. So it is a 16-bit application. So we'll try to run it with OTVDM and see if we can run it. So we'll say yes. It's still, oh, so it's trying. Okay. So it's trying to load C users user app data local temp setup.exe, and then it was just called setup.exe. So here it is right here. Like, let's see. Yeah, this was modified 1997. Yeah, so this is the Netscape Communicator 4.0 splash screen here. So I wonder if I guess maybe this setup, or like this self-extractor, already thought the files were extracted since they were located in the temp directory, because it said it was trying to launch setup. And now this file here, like this setup file here is for Netscape Communicator. This is the splash screen for it. So I would assume this is version 4.0, because version 3.0 is not called Netscape Communicator. So we're going to try to launch this setup file with OTVDM. And okay, so it's definitely yes. We want to say yes. There we go. Okay, so this is now working. Netscape Navigator Gold. Although this says Netscape Navigator now. Is this... So this is 3.0. Yeah, this is probably Netscape Navigator Gold. Yep, version 3.0. So what had happened was, I guess the version 4.0 had extracted the setup, like that bitmap image that showed when we launched the 3.0 setup, but it like didn't extract everything, because, well, I guess it did, because it started to work. You guys saw, like, I tried to run the 4.0 setup. It started to load, it just froze on the setup is loading screen. And then since I killed that, I think it left the bitmap file there. Then 3.0 extracted its setup file, and then thought the bitmap file was already extracted, so it used that to display. That's very interesting. So yeah, we've got Netscape Navigator Gold version 3.0. So yes, we'll enable Cool Talk Watchdog. So here is the README. We're gonna read it there. There we go. Netscape Navigator 3. So it's Netscape Navigator Gold, but it has the standard icon. We're going to open file location, and apparently it's a non-existent shortcut. Okay, so let's just try to go back to, let's just go to this PC, it's just program, it's like using the short file names protocol here. Netscape Navigator program netscape.exe. So program, oh no, it doesn't exist. Okay. So it didn't install correctly then. And this is still the 4.0 bitmap, like that's going to use as the splash screen, I guess. Let's just run the uninstaller here. So we're just going to uninstall it and then reinstall it. And maybe we'll just try 4.0 again while we're at it. So let's launch the extractor here. Yes, I wish to continue. Okay, so good news. Just relaunching the setup executable allowed the setup to fully load properly. So here we are at the Netscape Communicator Professional Edition 4.04 setup. We're going to click on Next, we're going to click on Yes, and we're going to install this to, we're going to go with a custom installation, and we're going to choose to install this to Netscape. We're just going to call this Netscape 4, and it will install to program files x86. So we'll say Yes, we're going to click on Next, And we're going to just have all these options selected. So we've got Communicator, Conference, Netcaster, Auto Admin, Calendar, IBM Host on Demand, and Multimedia Support. So we're going to click on Next to install. Check the extensions you would like a communicator to set up. So this is basically going to set, essentially set the default program for these file types. Actually, I'm not sure this would work with Windows 10 because you have to usually go into the Modern UI settings application to set up your default programs there. And this does have AOL Instant Messenger. So Netscape Communicator 4 was initially released in 1997. The last release was in 2002, and AOL bought Netscape in 1998. So this is probably a version that was most likely released in like 1998, 99 possibly, because we do have AOL Instant Messenger, and it is branded with the Netscape branding AOL Instant Messenger. So this was most likely at a time when Netscape was already owned by AOL. So of course we've got all our programs here. We'll just restart the computer now since it asked us to do that. So I'll go ahead and restart here. All right, welcome back. So yes, we were able to successfully install Netscape Communicator. So here it is, new Netscape's AOL Instant Messenger. Best of all, there's no download. It's already installed on your computer and it's free. Sign up today. This is, let's say, yeah, sign me up. Oh, we're using a local area network. Yeah, so it just brings you to the AOL website to register. But the client is here. So this is the AIM client, but we've got Netscape Communicator. This is what we want to look at. So here we go. It's going to ask us to create a new profile. We'll click on Next and we'll just type in Michael here. Okay, so I had to run the application in compatibility mode for Windows 95 and run the program as an administrator, but I was able to run it without OTVDM. So this is a 32-bit program. The website was correct, but the installer was 16-bit. That's why we had to run the installer through OTVDM, or run it with OTVDM, or WineVDM, whatever you want to call it. And that's why it was saying it was an invalid Win32 application, because it wasn't. The installer wasn't, but the program itself is. So yeah, so that's very interesting. Obviously, that wouldn't be a problem if you were running this on a 32-bit computer, because a 32-bit release of Windows could still run a 16-bit application with the virtual DOS machine. But since we're using the 64-bit release of Windows, that feature is not included. So that's why we have to use this third-party tool. But we got the program working, which is pretty awesome. So here is Netscape Navigator opened up here. Now, if you weren't able to tell, Netscape Communicator is the name of the application suite itself. And contained inside that suite, you have Netscape Navigator, Mailbox, Discussions, and Composer, among other things. But here it is. The program works. Obviously, we're not going to be able to load websites. I mean, we can try to load up YouTube here, and it's just going to, Netscape and the server cannot communicate securely because they have no common encryption algorithms. So we'll click OK, and I mean, but we can still load, like we could go to mcom.com, because this is a this is a snapshot from this website from 1994, so this is obviously going to load totally fine. So yeah, that is version 4.0. Let's move on, or let's try version 3.0 again, or this is version 3.04. So we're going to launch the same, or we have to actually run this through OTVDM, so let me get OTVDM up here, and we will run it using OTVDM if I can drag it here. So there we go. And yes, we want to install. So it looks like it's going to do the same thing. I think what we're going to have to do, you know what, let's just delete everything in the temp folder. So we'll just skip the stuff that's open in Microsoft OneDrive. We'll just skip that. So the temp folder has been cleared, so we can now run this, and hopefully it'll be able to extract everything. Okay, so now there is a setup.exe in the temp folder. So we'll go back to the temp folder, and here we go. So now we can run this with OTVDM. So we'll open this, and here we go. So this is the same. This is essentially what we had happen before, but for whatever reason, it didn't install the Navigator program itself. Now this is still called Netscape Navigator, but this specific version does still have the mail program. Version 3.0 was the first version to have more than just Navigator, but the program itself was still called Navigator. It didn't get the communicator name until version 4. So we're going to change the destination directory to Netscape 3, and we're going to get rid of communicator. It's probably pulling this from the existing folder that's there. So we'll just click OK. Yes, we want the directory to be created. And we're going to click Next to install. And yeah, now you can see we've got the application icon, which leads me to believe that the shortcut now points to an actual executable file that's stored on the hard drive. So we should be able to launch this without OTVDM. There we go. Yes, we want to accept the license agreement. It was unable to open the bookmark file. Default bookmark file will be used instead. Okay. And yeah, there we go. So here is version 3.0. I mean, we can try to go to google.com, but this is not going to work. Oh yeah, check that out. Too many JavaScript errors. Oh my gosh, did you see that? But we can try to, I mean, let's see if it, let's search for Michael MJD here. This is probably gonna, oh yeah, it works. Okay, so just like, this is exactly what not Netscape, but what Internet Explorer 1.5 did. It displayed the web page with some CSS code up here. This looks like it's trying to load the mobile version of the website, which is pretty typical for these older browsers. Some of them will be able to load like the mobile version of the website on Google here. Loading modern web pages, it's not going to work, like regardless if it's on Windows 10 or on Windows 95. It's not going to work because it's just an older browser. But the program itself installed, so that's pretty awesome. All these JavaScript errors here, we'll get out of those. So next up we have Netscape 2. So this is still a 32-bit release, but we're going to run the installer here, which is going to be a 16-bit installer. So we will open it with OTVDM. Actually, let me just clear out the temp folder here just in case it extracts its files here. And so it looks like it didn't open up. Yeah, so it didn't open up. Yeah, so it's not running in the background. Okay, so this specific file we have is not working, but we can try, I mean, this is version 2.02 gold. Let's try the regular 2.02, just this one right here. We'll download the Win32 application and we'll save as. And just a note, if you decide to download any of these versions of Netscape from the mcom.com website, the archive page here, be prepared to wait a little while because it appears they have a pretty slow upload speed, because you can see it's taking me about 5 minutes. I mean, well, it's almost halfway done. This was like 10 minutes when it started to download a 3 megabyte file. Now I have a like 100 megabits per second download speed. So this, this is definitely on their end. So this is their upload speed is pretty slow, but that's not a problem. Just means you're gonna have to wait a couple of moments, but it will eventually download, and hopefully this specific version we got will work. But if not, we'll move on to version 1.0 and hopefully the Mosaic browser. Okay, so it downloaded. We're going to try to run it with OTVDM. So we've got it right here, and it looks like it worked this time. So this will install Netscape Navigator. Yes, we want to continue. So it most likely did the same thing that version 3.0 did. It extracted the setup executable to the temp folder. So sure enough, there it is. We'll try to load the setup executable with OTVDM. And there we go. Setup is preparing the install shield wizard. And we get a very familiar setup screen. We're going to click on next. Okay, so we'll try to load Netscape Navigator. This is going to be version 2.0, so we'll accept. And once again, this is a 32-bit program because it does not need OTVDM to run properly. So we're just going to help and about here to verify that. Yes, there it is. So we were able to get version 7, 4, 3, and 2, but the gold version, the 2.02 gold version, did not want to install. It literally just crashed OTVDM. We can go to google.com if we want to. And we're going to get all those JavaScript errors again. It looks like we got, oh yeah, we're getting way more. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, but version 2.02 worked. So there we go. We'll move on to version 1.0 now, which is again the one of two 16-bit programs we have. So we are going to clear, did I just close the temp folder? Yeah, I did. We're going to just wipe the temp folder once again because this is where it's been extracting all the files to. So we'll again skip the ones that OneDrive is using. And we'll open up Netscape 1, and here it is. And this is again version 1.0. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is what I guess it was just Netscape 1 where this was a self-extracting exe, and then it just extracted all the files to the same folder, which is what I was hoping the other ones would do. But I guess this was the only one that did it when I tried it for that other video. So we're gonna run setup here, and we got to run it with OTVDM. Let me drag it over here. There we go. Start Netscape setup. Please wait and check that out. Oh yeah, this was back before they even had like the newer icon. This is just like this, purple icon here. So we'll click on continue. We'll just call it Netscape 1. Path path is not a valid path. Oh yeah, because you have to make the folder. This is so you like the installer will not create the folder for you. So let's just create a new folder. We'll just call this net1, and then we'll just call it nets1. There we go. So program, oh, it just crashed. Okay. Okay, so we were able to get the setup to work. I mean, that's half the battle. We got to get the setup to work, and then we need to get the program itself to work. So, and okay, so it crashes immediately after selecting the directory. So it appears that 1.0, at least this specific version here, the setup crashes. Now we're going to try NCSA Mosaic. So this, I believe, is another, I mean, no, I think this is just the browser itself. Yeah, so we can just try to launch this with OTVDM. And check that out. NCSA Mosaic on Windows 10. Is that crazy? Oh my gosh, so it actually works. Let's go to the About page, about Windows Mosaic. There it is. Copyright 1993 by the University of Illinois. That is crazy. So if you were wondering if we could get NCSA Mosaic to work on Windows 10, I mean this program was written in 1993 and it still works. That's pretty awesome. Okay, let's try to open. Let's try to go to mcom.com on here. So okay. And oh, if you don't specify, yeah, so you gotta specify the hypertext transfer protocol. And no, it's still gonna say bad request. Yeah, so I had this problem with NCSA Mosaic when I was running it like under Windows 95. I think I was able to get it to load mcom.com, but after that initial loading the web page, it didn't want to load any more web pages after that, and it looks like it's not. I mean, it's just saying bad request. We can try to restart the program, and maybe let's just try to go open URL, http home.mcom.com. Yeah, so it's still going to say bad request, but the browser itself, again, the program works, which is pretty awesome. So just to end things off, we will try to download, let's say, the latest 1.0 release, or let's say 1.2 here. Yeah, we'll try this beta version. Oh, so this is a Win32 version too. So we'll just download this one. And we'll save it to, let's just save it to the desktop here. Okay, so we've got all the files extracted. We're going to try to open up the setup file once again. Click on yes. And okay, so it does say that it does require Microsoft Windows version 3.0 or higher. Okay, so we were able to get the setup program to launch. I had to put it in compatibility mode, in Windows 95 compatibility mode. And in this case, the setup file itself, the installer, is a 32-bit program because I was able to run this without OTVDM. So we're going to click on continue, and we're going to install this to C Netscape 1. And there we go. Wow, that was a really quick installation. So we've got, oh yeah, so it just put it in the same folder as Netscape Navigator 2. So we're going to run, this is just Netscape here, so we're going to click accept. And there we go. Here is Netscape version. This is going to be version, yep, 1.2b1, because this is a beta release, beta 1. So we were able to get version 1.0 working, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. So to answer the question, is it possible to run Netscape Navigator / Communicator 1, 2, 3, 4, and Netscape 7, as well as NCSA Mosaic on Windows 10 in 2020? The answer is absolutely yes. It is possible, and I'm very impressed. So yeah, if you guys again want to try this out yourselves, I'll have the link to the archive on mcom.com down below if you want to download these. Again, just be prepared to wait a couple of moments for the files to download. But obviously, I mean, you aren't going to be able to go to any modern websites in these web browsers, but that would be the case regardless of what operating system you run it on, because these are just older web browsers. So, but yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more like it, definitely be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to get subscribed down below. Turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which I do every single week, multiple times per week on this channel. And as always, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.